A sneak peek at two highly anticipated new TV shows with very different heroes.
Stay out of this, Nick. This is immortal business.
An incredible new invention to aid the blind, a robotic seeing eye dog. Plus, two hot new films full of eye-popping special effects. One of Sci-Fi's top character actors, and news from the world of sci-fi entertainment.
This is the Sci-Fi Channel's weekly entertainment magazine with Deep Space Nine's Chase Masterson.
The thinking in Hollywood is, if a movie is popular, it will probably be a successful TV show as well. So, two new shows will be sweeping into homes next week. The cult hit The Crow, along with Highlander the Raven. The new Highlander will pick up where the 6-year-old TV series leaves off. Only this series stars a lady Highlander.
Start here. Take your advice. I got a warrant.
All you had to do was ask nicely.
Her name's Amanda.
Hello?
And she may look like a fashionable modern woman, but she's actually a 1,200-year-old immortal who can only die by decapitation. Sound familiar? It should.
What the hell was that?
That, my dear boy, is called a quickening.
Highlander the Raven is the latest incarnation of the highly successful Highlander franchise, following 6 seasons of Highlander the series and 3 feature films. In The Raven, former Miss America Elizabeth Grayson stars as Amanda. Fans of the last series might remember her as the recurring love interest of Duncan MacLeod.
Freeze!
In next week's first episode, Amanda meets her partner-to-be, a cop named Nick Wolf, played by Paul Johansson. Although she's been a professional thief for centuries, Amanda joins forces with Nick to wage war against evil. Highlander the Raven is similar in theme to another new TV series, The Crow, Stairway to Heaven. But The Crow promises to be even darker than The Raven.
What are you?
Tell them The Crow.
The Crow, Stairway to Heaven, continues the legacy of Eric Draven, expanding the mythology of the successful film series.
People once believed that when someone dies, a crow carries their soul to the land of the dead.
Unable to rest after both he and his girlfriend are murdered, Draven returns from the dead to fight injustice. This time around, the Crow is played by renowned martial artist turned actor Mark Dacascos.
So are you like an angel now, or what?
Too angry to be an angel.
The series attempts to maintain the dark rock and roll feel of its cinematic predecessors, though it hopes to overcome the perceived curse that has haunted the Crow since the first film. Brandon Lee, as you might recall, was killed in a shooting accident while filming the original movie. And this past summer, a crew member was killed on the set of the TV series by an effects explosion. Both The Crow, Stairway to Heaven, and Highlander the Raven premiere next week in syndication. Check your local listings for airtimes. Amanda the Highlander and Eric the Crow may never meet in hand-to-hand combat, but starting next week, they'll square off in the battle for regular viewers. What's a science fiction film without spectacular special effects? Probably a box office bust. It's gotten to the point where every new sci-fi or fantasy movie tries to out-jazz all the others, and 2 new releases are proof of that. Here's a behind-the-scenes look at some breakthrough movie-making magic that is simply amazing. Special effects are not limited to just hardcore sci-fi and horror movies anymore. The fantasy love story What Dreams May Come and the animated adventure film Antz both depend upon cutting-edge technologies to tell their stories.
Don't you want your 8-bit beer?
Call me crazy, but I have a thing about drinking from the caboose of another creature.
Suit yourself.
Like the 1995 Disney film Toy Story, Antz relies solely on computer animation. Pacific Data Images, or PDI, is the groundbreaking animation company that created the film's stars.
Hi, want to dance?
Absolutely.
PDI utilized its own state-of-the-art software to tell this unique story of a little guy out to make it big. Director Tim Johnson oversaw this challenging production.
Using PDI software, we've been able to give things a scale that is absolutely, frighteningly large. Everything from camera angles to lens curvature to depth of field, these kind of things that you get for free in a live-action camera all have to be fairly meticulously created using our software. And it's the kind of thing that an audience won't necessarily notice. You're used to those kind of things happening in live action, but it gives a layer of reality to our film that is just terrific.
What is it? I'm supposed to do everything for the colony, and what about my needs? What about me?
The film's lead role is voiced by Woody Allen. The Antz animators incorporated the comic actor's own distinct personality into his computer-generated character.
During that process, at one point, we instead of like going from Woody Allen to make him become more like an ant, we start the other way. We make an ant to make him more like Woody Allen. So with that, we have like this whole range of different look that we can go for.
PDI artists were able to add subtle nuances to the film's lead characters using a new technology called the facial animation system. This sophisticated piece of computer wizardry mirrors the actual bones and skin of the human face.
There's a lot of subtlety in the performance that we need to achieve in the movie. For example, for Z and Bala, a lot of time you would just see a little bit of movement on the lips.
I gotta believe there's some place out there that's better than this. Otherwise, I would just curl up in a larval position and weep.
In What Dreams May Come, Robin Williams plays Chris, a man who dies and goes to heaven. His wife, however, ends up in hell, and Chris attempts to save her from her fate. The film's depiction of the afterlife is totally unique.
I think this is very personal, because it's a real subjective heaven, because it's based on a heaven created from a man's conscious and subconscious connection to the woman he loves.
To create the look of heaven and hell, director Vincent Ward turned to classic paintings for inspiration.
I thought the last time that anyone tried to portray paradise with any conviction was in the 19th century, not in film. So I went back to 19th century visions of paradise, to Doré and John Martin and so on. So some of them are based on paintings that exist, and some of them are paintings based on ideas that I had.
This heavenly painted world emerged through a combination of live-action photography, gigantic sets, and new technology.
Nice place you got here.
No. Nice place you got here.
We adapted some technology used by the military and used by nuclear-powered dams, which maps three-dimensionally, like for 300 or 400 yards. Then we found ways of making moving paint strokes that literally follow every piece of light and every change in angle that goes on during a shot. That took 1.5 years, and in some cases 200 visual effects technicians.
It's becoming increasingly more difficult for films to deliver something that audiences have never seen. But those involved with What Dreams May Come think they've created something special.
Brace yourself for a world virtual Van Gogh. This is actually Heaven and Hell, a virtual one. This is more than that. It's actually a very personal one. You've had dreams, not just your mother and pasties. Real heaven, real hell. Be there.
You can thrill to the brain-teasing special effects of What Dreams May Come and Antz when they storm theaters on October the 2nd. The headlines making news in sci-fi entertainment, and veteran sci-fi character actor Richard Hurd. That's next.
We will control the burden. We can change the focus to a soft blur, or sharpen it to crystal clarity.
From celebrity sightings to strange events, the world of science fiction is springing to life all around us. Here are some of the headline-grabbing stories this week.
The annual Burning Man Festival took place in the desert again this Labor Day weekend. Burning Man is a 5-day experimental community attended by many cyberpunks and futurists. The event culminates with the burning of a huge man-made figure. Though originally organized by artists to encourage creative expression, Burning Man has become a profitable enterprise, with tickets costing $100 a head.
It's actually becoming a sitcom, actually.
At a recent book signing, X-Files creator Chris Carter tried to assure us that his show's move to sunny Los Angeles would not adversely affect its scare quotient.
You can still make the story scary. It doesn't need to be in necessarily a damp, dark, gray, queasy, compressed environment. The stories will continue to be very good, and we'll continue to make it look as beautiful and scary as we've always made it.
Al Lewis, best known as Grandpa on the Munsters, is running for governor of New York. Lewis feels the Empire State is in bad shape, and that he's just the man to fix it. The 88-year-old actor is running as the Green Party candidate. For more sci-fi news updates, check out the online Sci-Fi Wire at www.scifi.com.
Your national leaders have suggested that a state of martial law will be most helpful at this time.
Now, before actor Richard Hurd began appearing in Seinfeld, I remember him from his sci-fi roles. He was in the miniseries V, Sequest, Star Trek The Next Generation, and Quantum Leap. Welcome, Richard. Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure being here with you, Chase.
So, Richard, you've done so many. What has been your favorite sci-fi role to date?
My favorite sci-fi role, that's easy to say, was on Quantum Leap. I played a character called Captain Galaxy in an episode called Future Boy.
Why do you suppose it is that you're so often cast in science fiction roles?
Well, you know, it didn't start out that way. It's just I do a lot of authority roles. And then along came John, the Supreme Commander in V. I didn't pay attention. It just happened to be presented to me. I liked the script. I enjoyed it.
Do you miss those days when science fiction was more character and plot driven than maybe effects driven?
Yeah, I do, because I'd rather do it myself than be morphed into something or someone else who does it for me.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't fight it. That's, I think, television and technology and what's available to us today, satellite-wise, and it's just the nature of growth in the world and the business. I'm certainly not resisting it. That's whatever they give me. You know, a lot of actors, they moan and bewail the fact that they're doing this and doing that. And my advice to them is don't take the job, don't talk to me about it. Or, you know, I just can't stand people, you know, this is such a wonderful profession that you and I are in.
Now, I know it isn't science fiction, but I also know we're all wondering, how was it working on Seinfeld?
Best job I ever had. Nobody had an attitude. They were wonderful people. There was a lot of spontaneity. We didn't have to rehearse it to death. Oh, and a little side note, I found out late in the run that Jason was a great fan of Star Trek, etc. But there was another interesting thing about that show. It was the only show consistently that week after week hired people over 50 years old. There are no other shows on television. That's the wonderful thing about sci-fi, too. You know, working in sci-fi, it's kind of ageless.
Yeah.
You know, because you can become almost any age you have to be at any particular time, and you're quite believable. And oftentimes, because of the appliances and the makeup, it doesn't make any difference anyway.
That's wonderful.
So we'll just go on and on into our 80s and 90s and beyond.
I'm sure you will.
Why not?
Commentator Amanda Finch has some recommendations to improve this season's X-Files. And a robot that's giving sight to the blind. That's next.
Where are my clothes?
For nearly 2 centuries, robots have captured the imaginations of writers who foresaw a future where mechanical men would have the same intelligence of humans. Well, engineers have taken a step closer to that vision with an ingenious new invention, a robotic seeing eye dog. This device, called the guide cane, may one day replace guide dogs for the blind. It's a navigation aid which detects obstacles in the user's path and automatically steers around them.
And it sees the bench and steers around it.
The guide cane was invented by Johann Borenstein, who heads the University of Michigan Mobile Robotics Lab. To create the guide cane, he had to solve the problem of how to give a robot sight. He found the solution in ultrasonic sensors.
We are using these sensors, which are also used in Polaroid cameras, in order to measure distance to an object for the autofocus in those cameras. And we use the same sensor, but for a different purpose.
Mounted on the front of the robot, The sensors shoot out sound waves.
And the sound waves bounce off an object, if there is an object in front of the sensor, and the sensor measures the time between sending the sound signal and receiving the echo. And from this, the sensor and its attached computer can compute how far the obstacle is.
The onboard computer then builds an electronic map and computes a path around the obstacle.
The computer steers the steering wheels of the guide cane in such a way as to avoid the obstacle. Now, the person holding the guide cane or the handle of the guide cane in one hand can feel the steering maneuver, and so if the guide cane moves to the right, the person can intuitively and easily follow to the right and thereby avoid the obstacles.
Borenstein predicts that in a couple of years, he'll be able to merge the guide cane technology with global positioning navigation. These satellite systems, already in operation, can accurately pinpoint a person's location.
If we marry this technology with our guide cane, it will be possible that a user simply tells the guide cane, take me to the grocery store on Main Street. And the system will immediately, within a second, compute a complete path from the user's location to the grocery store on Main Street and then direct the user along that path.
While a guide dog costs about $14,000, Borenstein expects the guide cane to sell for just $4,000. Science may not have yet created RoboCop, but it has produced RoboDog. The X-Files has begun production in Southern California on its 6th season. Sci-fi entertainment commentator Amanda Finch has some suggestions for Mulder, Scully, and executive producer Chris Carter.
In the first few years of The X-Files, there were some great standalone episodes. I waited with bated breath for the next arc episode, the one that would provide just one more clue in Mulder's continuing search for the proof of aliens and his sister's whereabouts. It was pretty clear that Chris Carter had about as much idea as I did where the story was going, but hey, that's what made it fun. Several Emmys and Golden Globes later, The X-Files emerged from Hollywood's sci-fi ghetto as the hippest little creep show on TV. And faster than you can say movie script, the humor and unique tone of The X-Files died. Finally, Chris Carter had to know where the conspiracy was going, and rather than flowing naturally from previous stories, the arc episodes of the 5th season felt hollow and predestined by his almighty hand. The biggest casualties of the 5th season were the show's characters. Mulder and Scully switched points of view dramatically without explanation. It would be natural for Scully to lose some of her skepticism in the face of all she's seen, and Mulder to question his beliefs as he discovers more about the secret government. But this complete and total role reversal was reverse engineered so that Mulder's return to the fold of believers at the end of the movie would be that much more dramatic.
I'm an annoyance to my superiors, a joke to my peers. They call me Spooky. Spooky Mulder.
Even the tentative romance threads seemed forced as everyone buzzed about the possibility of an on-screen kiss in the feature. I confess, I feared the worst.
I can't quit now, Scully. I need you on this.
Thankfully, though, the movie's approaches to both romance and aliens were the same. Ha-ha, gotcha. No essential mysteries were solved.
What killed those men? What killed them, I won't even write about.
And Mulder and Scully aren't destined to become the paranormal heart-to-heart.
I had you.
Oh, you didn't?
Oh, yeah. I had you big time.
So, I have an idea. Let's just have a do-over. Let's start this season with Mulder stepping from the shower, accepting a towel from some beautiful vampire or something, and have him say, I just had the strangest dream. Then we can bring back the Fluke Man and bring back Jose Chung, or better yet, bring back the original writers, Morgan and Wong. I'm Amanda Finch, and that's just my opinion.
Now, The X-Files' new season doesn't premiere until November 8th, so there's still some time to consider Amanda's ideas. Don't you think, Mr. Carter? Be sure to enter the Star Trek Sweepstakes, sponsored by Best Western and the Sci-Fi Channel. The contest is in celebration of the channel's launch of the digitally remastered original Star Trek series, now seen weeknights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the Sci-Fi Channel. The grand prize is a 7-day trip for two to Dusseldorf, Germany, to attend the premiere of the Star Trek World Tour, which is an incredible live Federation adventure featuring a walkthrough recreation of the USS Enterprise. Enter to win at any Best Western, participating budget rent-a-car locations, or log on to our Dominion website at www.scifi.com. You must be at least 21 to enter. We're back with Richard Hurd, who's appeared in some great sci-fi TV series. Richard, I've got one more last question that I'd like to ask you. Tell us about your upcoming remake of I Married a Monster.
Yes, I Married a Monster was made in '58 with Tom Tryon, who became a noted author, and Gloria Talbot. And I have a chance to play a very nice guy. And it's quite along the lines of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, whereas it's character-driven. It doesn't have a lot of effects, but it's a classic, and it has evidently quite a cult following.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing it, and thank you for being here today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Great. Remember, you can next see Richard on the upcoming Thursday night movie on UPN, I Married a Monster, on October the 8th. That's all the sci-fi entertainment we have time for this week. Join us next weekend for another edition of Sci-Fi Entertainment.
Now stay tuned for amazing stories next on the Sci-Fi Channel. Produced in association with the Sci-Fi Channel.